So I'm going to start off, Jesse, with those easy ones, just to explain them to you, okay? What did the directions say on those? What did it tell you to do? Was it simplify? Yeah.
Oh, okay. It says solve for V.
No, not that one. I'm sorry. The other one. I can't remember what the directions said for you to do.
I'm trying to get to the last one. It says for each expression, simplify if possible.
Okay. So my directions say to simplify if possible. Okay. I really like these to explain these because they're easy. Once you understand them, they're real easy. Okay, so you were given 8W minus 3 over 3 minus 8W. And you were given 2W plus 5 over 5W plus 2, and then I added 1, and I said, let's look at 3x plus 4 over 4 plus 3x. Okay, so if I'm looking at those three, and they're asking me to simplify, I know that before, whenever they told me to simplify, I thought factoring. But on these, they can't be factored. I'm looking at them. 8W minus 3 and 3 minus 8W, those can't be factored. So it has to be something else going on. So when I'm looking at them, I feel very suspicious because the 8Ws and the 3s, but I notice that their signs are all different. So I have a positive 8W right here, and then this one's a negative. You see that? And then I have a negative 3, and then this is a positive 3 right there. So these are what we call exact opposites. Okay, exact opposites. That means that their terms are the same, but the signs are opposite for each of them. So when that happens, instead of being able just to say, oh, look, it's an 8W and a 3 and an 8W and a 3, those are going to cancel out. No, they don't completely cancel out because they're opposites. So what they make is a negative 1, which is what you said, a negative 1. Okay, so now let's look at the second one. So for the second one, I have a 2W plus 5 and a 5W plus 2. I ask myself, can they be factored? No. Okay, 2W plus 5 can't be factored, and neither can 5W plus 2. So then I ask myself, are the terms the same? So in my numerator, I have a 2W. In my denominator, I have a 5W. That's not the same. And then in my numerator, I have the number 5. And in my denominator, I have the number 2. That's not the same. They're not opposites. They're not the same. So the answer would be can't be simplified because they're not opposites and they're not the same. Okay? That was a good one. And then, I spelled that wrong. That's fine. We'll just pretend I spelled it right. Okay, the last one. Okay, first thing is I check to see if they can be factored. They can't. So then I look at the terms. I have a 3x in the numerator, a 3x in the denominator. I have a 4 in the numerator, a 4 in the denominator. They're not in the same spots, but they're all the same people. So those would divide out, and those are the same people, so they would make a 1. Okay, so that's the difference between those three types of problems. Any questions on those? And I'm going to do that second problem. Any questions? Okay, so the next one that, Jesse, you were looking at was from your worksheet. It said to solve. Okay, guys, I'm going to say this one more time. When you see the directions solve, you're thinking, I have to get a numerical answer. I need V equals 4 or V equals 10. I'm solving for V. I'm finding the value of the V. Okay? So I have this equation, and it is 2V squared plus 2V minus 20 and it's equal to v minus 1 squared. Okay? So the very first thing that I notice is if they want me to solve this, then I have to figure out what v minus 1 squared is equal to. I can't solve it right now. I got v's all over the place. Okay? So to solve it, remember, I've got to get all the v's, all the stuff on one side. So off to the side, you're going to have to FOIL v minus 1 times v minus 1. And so when I FOIL that, v times v is v squared. V times negative 1 is negative 1v. Negative 1 times v is negative 1v. And negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. My two terms in the middle are like, so that's v squared minus 2v plus 1. God bless you. So that's what this is over here. Okay? V squared minus 2v plus 1. Now, on the left-hand side, I did not do anything with that trinomial over there. I'm just going to write it down. So I have 2v squared plus 2v minus 20. Okay, now this is a quadratic equation. Does anybody remember why this is a quadratic equation? What makes this a quadratic equation? Remember quadratics? What's the degree? What's the highest power you see? A power of 2. Do y'all see that? Yeah. So this is a quadratic. So that means that I have to get it in standard form in order to solve it. And standard form is whenever my trinomial is equal to 0. So that means that I got to get all these little guys over to the other side. So I'm going to do the inverse operations so that I can move them all to the other side. So I subtracted v squared, I added 2v, I subtracted 1. So now what am I going to end up with on the right-hand side of this equation? What's going to happen with all those guys?
They're going to be crossed out.
They're going to make a 0. That's right. And so now, remember that section where they had you guys adding up those polynomials and subtracting those polynomials? That's all you're doing right here on the left-hand side. So I have 2v squared minus 1v squared, which is v squared. I have a 2v plus a 2v, which is a 4v. And then I have a negative 20 and a negative 1. That's money. You're down 20, you're down 1. You are down 21. Okay? Okay, so now you got a couple of options. Some of you are real good about getting the factors just looking like this. And some of you like to come off to the side and factor it. Either way works, okay? So remember, I have a subtract back here. That tells me my signs have to be different. I need a plus and a minus. It also tells me that my insides and my outsides subtract and make the 4. Okay? So I write down all my terms, and now I'm going to break it down. So v squared, that's easy. That's v times v. What are my options for 21? I've got what? 1 times 21. What else do I have?
Like, for your signs, don't you need a positive and a minus?
Yeah, I do, but I'm not putting those in yet. I'm going to put them in last. I like to put my signs in last. Okay, so what are my other options for 21 besides 1 and 21? 7 and 3. Okay, so which ones of these subtract to make a 4? 7 and 3. Very good. I need 7 to be the positive and 3 to be the negative. Why is that?
Because you have a 4v.
That's right.
Going to factoring them.
That's right.
7v minus 3v gives you the 4v.
That is right. So I get my signs right. Okay. So now I've got my factors. So back over here, Jesse. Now I can jump back into my problem. This is probably the one problem in this class, the one concept, the one topic that's going to take up the most paper. It's not hard. It just takes up the most paper.
Struggle with those on
Well, sometimes.
Okay, so what's my next step?
Let's see, b plus 7 equals 0.
Yes, I break them apart. Very good, Jesse. V plus 7 equals 0, or V minus 3 equals 0. And so what are my two answers?
-7 and then positive 3.
V equals -7, or V equals positive 3. That is exactly right. Okay, so again, like I said, it's not a hard problem. It just takes up a lot of paper.
When do you want these, by the way?
I